Hello and welcome to the Wilmington and Northern Branch of the Philadelphia and Reading Railroad. My name is Dave Hussman. I'm the owner of the Layout, and I want to give you a little tour of the Wilmington and Northern. The Wilmington and Northern Railroad was built by the DuPont family from Wilmington, Delaware up to Reading, Pennsylvania. The original concept was to connect with another short line that connected with the Lehigh Valley, thus giving the Lehigh Valley Railroad access to the lower Delaware River Valley for their coal shipments. However, the Philadelphia and Reading didn't like another railroad intruding on their territory, so in 1895 they leased the Wilmington and Northern, and then in 1900 the Philadelphia and Reading bought the Wilmington and Northern Railroad. I'm modeling in the 1900 to 1905 era, nominally 1903. So that's right after the Philadelphia and Reading has bought the Wilmington and Northern. However, the Philadelphia and Reading operated it as essentially its own separate railroad for several years after that. Today we're going to ride train number 3, engine 18, from Wilmington, Delaware, all the way to Reading Outer Station. So sit back, enjoy, and let's take a ride on the Reading. We'll begin our trip at Wilmington, Delaware with our train number 3, engine 18, sitting at the depot. The depot is located in the first floor of the United States Hotel, and the station track is merely the main line running through the street in front of the hotel. The Wilmington and Northern originally used the Pennsylvania Railroad depot. However, a line change of the Pennsylvania cut off the Wilmington and Northern, so they had to use the hotel lobby. Across the Christiana River is the Delaware River Extension industrial area. It has a car float to Kearney's Point and Thompson's Point, New Jersey, a dock area, the Wilmington Marine Transfer, Richmond Radiator, Lobdell Wheel Works, and the Christiana Wharf. That is a rail to water coal transfer. It's switched by the Maryland Avenue job. Our train has reached its departure time, so we're going to take off and head north for Reading, Pennsylvania. Our next place we will pass is the Maryland Avenue switching area. It has the Blumenthal Leather Company, a lumber yard, Swift Meat Distributor, the Team Track, and Freight House. It's located right in downtown Wilmington, Delaware. The next place we pass is the Harlan and Hollingsworth shipyards and car builders. In the foreground is the Beach Street Engine Facility, named for Beach Street, that we're just passing over. And yes, the Beach Street did pass over the turntable leads. 6th Avenue Yard, which is the major classification yard in Wilmington, has a main line, a running track, 2 double-ended tracks, and 3 single-ended tracks, plus a caboose track and a scale track on the north end. While fairly small, it has been adequate for what we need to do at Wilmington. The train is passing the Betts Machine Company that makes machinery for DuPont Company and the Superphosphate Fertilizer Company. At the north end of the yard is the G.W. Bush & Sons coal and lumber dealer. Behind the train is the entrance to the Pennsylvania Railroad interchange. As we pass the yard office at 6th Avenue, there's a small section house there, plus the Pennsylvania interchange on the back side of the yard office. And the residents of 6th Avenue watch as number 3 crosses the crossing at the end of the avenue. Leaving Wilmington, we pass through rolling farm areas on our way to Ellesmere Junction, our next stop. Ellesmere Junction is the crossing with the B&O Railroad. The B&O interchange yard can be seen in the background along with the Y. Having made our stop, we'll depart upgrade through the cut towards Montchannon, Delaware. Coming up to the top of the grade, through the cut, we'll pass over Kentmere Junction, which leads to the Kentmere branch, and enter Montchannon, Delaware. At Montchannon, there's a main track, a siding, a storage track, and an industry track. In the siding meeting us is the extra 19 South, a manifest train for Wilmington, Delaware. Montchannon was home to the DuPont family and is where the Hegley Museum is currently located. On a shadow box below Montchannon, which is reached by a helix, is the Kentmere branch switching area with the DuPont company on the right end and the J. Bancroft Company on the left end, a cotton textile manufacturer, plus Breck's Mill. This switching area is only about 10 inches high and about 10 inches deep. Having made our station stop at Montchannon, we will leave and head north. North of Montchannon, we will cross the state line from Delaware into Pennsylvania. And our next station is Grenoble, which is only a flag stop. We have nobody that wants to get off, and there's nobody at the station, so we'll highball it on this trip. Around the corner is the town of Mortonville. Mortonville has a paper mill and a team track. Our train will make its station stop there. The Brandywine River will begin to parallel the railroad at Mortonville, and at the north end of Mortonville will be the first of the 3 crossings we'll make over the Brandywine River. Going over the bridge, we'll enter Coatesville. Coatesville is the large steel mill town in the center of the Wilmington and Northern. At the south end is the Worth Steel Company and the engine facilities, plus a 3-track yard. In the middle is CV office, the train order office, and yardmaster's tower for Coatesville, plus the Coatesville Boiler Works. And then in the corner is the Lucan Steel Mill, the largest steel mill in Coatesville. It will eventually buy out all the other steel mills in Coatesville. It was the first major corporation to be owned and operated by a woman in the United States. The Brandywine River is running between the main line and the steel mills. At the north end of Coatesville, we'll come for our station stop at the depot. Across the river is the Viaduct Steel Company. Viaduct Steel, the oldest and smallest of the 3 steel mills, is named because the Pennsylvania Railroad viaduct over the Brandywine River on the Pittsburgh to Philadelphia, Maine. We're modeling the third of 4 bridges that were on the Pensy there. This being the middle of the run, we're going to pull up and make a water stop at the water tower. Having watered the engine, we'll now take off and resume heading north, crossing the Brandywine River for the second time. On the left of the engine is the Pennsylvania Railroad interchange, and at the far end of Valley, aptly named at the north end, we'll cross over the Brandywine River one final time. Leaving the Brandywine River Valley, we'll come up to the small town of Suppley, Pennsylvania. Suppley has a crossing of the Pennsylvania Railroad, plus an interchange and the Scully Lumber Company. The Wilmington and Northern had 5 interchanges with the Pennsylvania Railroad, and I'm only modeling 4 of them. Having completed our station stop, we pull through the rolling farmlands and countryside on our way to French Creek Junction. French Creek Junction is the connection with the French Creek branch that runs to St. Peter's. French Creek Junction has a main line, a siding, and 2 fill tracks plus the Y. The fill tracks are there because French Creek Junction is at the crest of the hill between Coatesville and Birdsboro. They haul extra tonnage up to the fill tracks and set it out, and then the trains, once they get to the top of the grade, can fill to tonnage going downhill. Leaving French Creek Junction, immediately adjacent is the town of Elverson. Elverson has the Cook Feed and Grain Company, plus a team track and a freight house. The depot at Elverson is preserved today. Now that our station stop is finished, we'll resume northward, heading to the small town of Joanna. At Joanna, we'll meet the extra 1021 south at Coatesville turn and make our station stop. Joanna has only a team track and a freight house in addition to the depot. In the 1950s, they'll build a junction at Joanna over to an iron ore mine, but that's another 53 years from my era. Across from Joanna is the Dyer Quarry. That's actually located at Trap Rock, which we'll pass in a moment. Going past Trap Rock, which is the junction over to Dyer Quarry, we will pass the Birdsboro Foundry and pull into the depot at Birdsboro. There are 2 Birdsboros on the Reading, one at Birdsboro proper on the Wilmington and Northern, and one on the main line where the connection is. Leaving Birdsboro, we pass the F.M. Brown feed store, it's still there, feed mill, plus the freight house and team track. Crossing the Pennsylvania Railroad Schuylkill Secondary with the interchange on the right, we'll head around the Y that leads towards the Philadelphia and Reading main line. The Wilmington and Northern crossed the Schuylkill River here. The bridge is right about where the engine is now, and connected with the Philadelphia and Reading main line between Reading and Philadelphia. The Wilmington and Northern had its own route into Reading. However, after the P&R purchased the Wilmington and Northern, all the freight trains on the Wilmington and Northern terminated at Birdsboro. There are 2 yards at Birdsboro. The meadow yard is used for industry support. It has 4 tracks, a caboose track, and 3 engine storage tracks. There used to be a roundhouse here, but a blizzard in 1895 blew it over. In the background you can see the Brook Iron Works. The other yard at Birdsboro is the belt yard. The main line with the light ballast actually does go to Reading, but it's only used by P&R freight trains in my era. And the belt yard is used as a junction point for swapping tonnage between the Wilmington and Northern and the rest of the P&R system. So that's a visible staging yard that is switched live by my switch engines. At the beginning of the session, it'll be all Wilmington Northern cars. At the end, all Philadelphia and Reading cars. And our train, passenger train number 3, having gone across the Philadelphia and Reading main line from Birdsboro up to Reading, is coming into Reading Outer Station. Reading Outer Station was built on a Y and had a train shed over the platforms on all 3 legs. I needed a staging yard for my passenger trains, so I built a little shadow box, and we'll model the train shed. I only have a little bit mocked up now, but it will extend the full length of the track. Well, thanks for taking a ride on the Reading. I hope you enjoyed it. As you can see, I've got lots more to work on with scenery and structures. So I hope you'll come back and watch as the progress continues and we give further updates on the Wilmington and Northern branch. Thanks for riding and have a safe day. Having finished our station stop at
Kentmere
Subley,
Junction.
we pull through the farm fields and countryside. North
At the top of the
Subley
grade is
towards
Kentmere Junction.
French Creek Junction. That leads off to the Kentmere
Our
next
branch.
station. Our train will go by that into Montchannon. Montchannon was the site of the DuPont estate. We'll meet the extra 19 South, a manifest train for Coatesville, or excuse me, for